Okay, hey YouTube. Today's video is about the super serious subject of transgender people using public bathrooms. Because apparently, transgender people pose a serious threat, particularly to women and children, because if we're not going to be the ones committing the crime, and by the way, there is no single instance of a transgender person committing a crime in a bathroom or a locker room, if we're not the ones committing the crime, then it's going to be men pretending to be women, so they're just going to exploit this law to go commit crimes in bathrooms, because voyeurism is a crime. Sexual assault, rape, these are crimes. Public exposure, public indecency, basically going into a bathroom and waving your dick around to people could probably be treated as a crime in a lot of states. So the laws already exist to protect people from this kind of thing happening, yet apparently that's not good enough for these noble Republicans in South Dakota, for the people in the North Carolina General Assembly and Governor Pat McCrory, who think that really these bathroom loopholes are going to give people access to the bathroom to commit all these crimes. Even though, again, this has never happened in any jurisdiction where these laws already exist, and there is not an instance of a trans person committing a crime in a bathroom. So, with that said, how is this about safety? How is this about protecting women? Particularly, how does this make any sense coming from the Republican Party and the conservatives, who have done so little to protect women and to protect children and make their lives better? Because women still get paid less than men. Women's access to safe legal abortion is increasingly being restricted in states all across the United States, particularly in the South, where the rhetoric against transgender people is the strongest. If children are so important to us, why don't we have childcare? Why don't we have better programs for single mothers? Why don't we have better sex education, more access to women's reproductive health? But everybody's going on defunding Planned Parenthood and eliminating a woman's ability to plan for a family, because they apparently care so much about women and they care so much about children, even though statistically abortions would actually go down if you made access to women's health care better. If you made sex education more honest instead of abstinence only. You could also reduce children's deaths by putting mandatory trigger locks on guns, if not just removing them altogether, because hundreds of children will die this year because of accidental firearm discharges. Thousands of people will be killed by drunk drivers this year, and you could easily do something about that by just putting breathalyzers on everybody's car, right? Oh, I see. You don't want to restrict freedoms for gun owners. You don't want to restrict freedoms for car owners, but you're more than willing to restrict freedoms of transgender people or LGBT more broadly because of the serious threat that they pose to your way of life. Even though, again, there has never been a single case of this happening. There are already other laws in place designed to prevent this, and the idea that there's a whole bunch of evil men out there just waiting to take advantage of legal access to women's spaces to commit crimes is ridiculous, because they're going to wait for it to become legal for them to go into the women's bathroom so that they can commit crimes in there, as though the access to the bathroom is the only reason that they're not doing this, because that's not true at all. There are plenty of sexual related crimes that happen today that have nothing to do whatsoever with legal access. And the vast majority of sexual assaults committed against children are actually happening from people that the child already knows. the majority of these are the actual somebody who has a relationship with the child. It's a family member, it's mom's boyfriend, it is people already there. And transgender people are being scapegoated so that Republicans can get some more voters out to the polls, just like they did in Houston. These aren't people who give a shit whatsoever about women. They aren't people who give a shit whatsoever about children or about life. They're a bunch of hypocrites who just want to win elections so that they can go on to be horrible people. So vote for Bernie Sanders, vote for Hillary Clinton, vote for any Democrat running in your state, because these shitheads need to be voted out of office, because this is the 21st fucking century, and we should start acting like it, instead of being fucking bigots.